ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं सतं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सागण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, Hare Krishna everyone. So actually today is very important session.
Mataji, we cannot hear you.
Hare Krishna. Let's recite this together and then see if someone wants to recite. Nectar of Instruction verse 2. Please follow after me. अत्याहारा प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रह जनसंगश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति. Anyone wants to recite this? We can do 2-3 times from memory. Sure. Yes, Mataji.
अत्याहार प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियामग्रह जनसंगश्च लौल्यं च सद्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति.
Anyone else?
I can try, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha jansangascha lalyacha shadbir bhakti vinashyati.
हरि बोल. हरि बोल. अत्याहारा प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रह जनसंगश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति.
Okay. Who else wants to recite?
Navya wants to do it?
Yes, Navya, go ahead. You want to do from memory?
No.
No? Okay, that's fine.
Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha jansangascha laulyam cha shadbir bhakti vinashyati.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mataji, I can read.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Atyahara prayasascha
Atyahara prayasascha
Prayasascha
prajalpo niyamagraha
prajalpo niyamagraha
Niyamagraha
janasangasya cha laulam cha
janasangascha laulyam cha
Janascha
shadbir bhaktir vinashyati.
shadbir bhaktir nashyati.
Vinashyati.
Very bold. Okay. So let's start reading. I was saying before that it is a very important class because we are discussing very important concept. The whole nectar of instruction is very important, and we have to know these concepts in order to, practically apply the wisdom of bhakti in our life. Because otherwise it seems very high principles and very difficult to follow. But Rup Goswami, Nectar of Instruction, has made it very easy, actually. He's giving us the perfect recipe on how to apply this in our life so that we have constant spiritual growth and material life is also nicely working, nicely, falling in place. So that's why I think it's very important that for the practitioners of bhakti, they should know this book inside out. So we read till this. Actually, I want to start with the concept of Niyamagraha today. So before I get started, anyone has any realizations, questions on Atyahara, Prayas, Prajalpa, Jansanga? These four we have discussed. Atyahar, Prayas, Prajalpa, and Jansanga. These four we have discussed. If not, we can get started. Let's read what Prabhupada has said about Niyamagraha and then we'll discuss this. Anyone wants to read?
Hari Bol.
Yes.
I can read. Accepting some of the spiritual rules and regulations for immediate benefit as utilitarian advocate is called Nemagraha, and neglecting the rules and regulations of the Shastras, which are meant for spiritual development, is called Nemagraha. The word agraha means eagerness to accept, and agraha means failure to accept. By the addition of either of these two words to the word nema, rules and regulations, the word niyamagraha is formed. Thus, nemagraha has a twofold meaning that is understood according to the particular combination of words. Those interested in Krishna consciousness should not be eager to accept rules and regulations for economic advancement. Yet, they should very faithfully accept spiritual rules and regulations for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. They should strictly follow the regulatory principles by avoiding illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and I can't read it so because of your quote.
Intoxication.
Intoxication, yes. Gambling and intoxication. One
Okay,
should also...
let's read this.
Okay.
This is the only paragraph Prabhupada has given on Niyamagraha in this verse. But this is the most discussed when we hear classes, and this is the most complicated to understand. So let's break this down. So first of all, let's look at the word agraha. So remember that when Prabhupada translates, he uses these diacritics. I think many of you are familiar with the diacritics. So A has a line on top. When A has a line on top, it becomes A. Okay, it becomes A. It's not A, it's A. And when there is no line on top like this, it becomes A. So this word is pronounced either agraha or agraha. And Prabhupada is saying when you add word niyam in front of it, it becomes niyamagraha. So this word niyamagraha, let's look at the Sanskrit. This word niyamagraha can be broken if you do Sandhi Viched means breaking down the word. Like in Sanskrit, often two words are combined together. Like Atyahar is a combination of Ati plus Ahar. Janasanga is a combination word. Like that, there are many words that are combination words. So Niyamagraha is a combination word, which when you break down, it will give you two different meanings actually, depending on where you break it, where you do the Sandhi. Okay. So Niyama, if you say Niyam plus Agraha, okay, A with diacritic on it, Agraha, long A, you can say long A, Agraha. So Niyam plus Agraha has a different meaning, whereas Niyama plus Agraha meaning without diacritic, has a different meaning. Okay. So Agraha means sticking to the rules too strictly and not getting the benefit of it. Okay, like a stickler for the rules, just following the rule for the sake of the rule itself. Okay, that is called agraha. Okay, so somebody who's a very big stickler to the rule, they follow the rules and regulations very strictly, very properly, but they do not focus on the principle or the benefit or the outcome from that rule. Okay, they are blindly sort of following a rule but not understanding its underlying purpose or emotions underlying it. Okay, that's called agraha. So just following the rule for the sake of the rule, that's called agraha. Okay, agraha, so too much attachment to the rules, regulations. Agraha has opposite meaning. Agraha means neglecting to follow the rule, rejecting the rule whimsically, okay, or not paying proper regard to the rule. Thinking that these rules and regulations are not important. What's the point? But I will not follow it. In this way, neglecting the rule. That's called agraha. Okay. And when you add the word niyam, it means either you are following the rule too strictly, you are agraha, or you are rejecting them, neglecting to follow them properly. That is agraha. Is this clear so far? This basic first understanding needs to be clear before we discuss further on it. Please tell me any questions about this. And then we'll discuss what it means. Right? So agraha means, who will tell me? Agraha with long A with diacritic on it means what?
Following strict rules.
Following too strictly. And agraha means?
Ignoring,
right? Neglecting or ignoring the rule. Okay, perfect. So, so now let's understand the details of this. Okay, this concept. Hare Krishna, Rekha Mataji, thank you for joining. Were you not able to hear before? I just saw your chat. Can you hear now? And iPhone, who's joining as iPhone? Can they put their name?
Yes, Mataji, I can hear now.
Okay, perfect. Welcome back. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Hiral Mataji, thank you for joining. So we are discussing Nectar of Instruction, verse 2. We just recited it, and now we are discussing this principle, Niyamagraha. So let's discuss this. Niyam plus agraha. Agraha means sticking to the rule too strongly. Okay. So sticking to the rule too strongly. Let's take an analogy. Okay. You know that GPS gives you tells you how to get to a place. GPS gives you a map on how to get to a place. It gives you instructions to get to your destination, right? It gives you this road to follow, this road to follow. Let's say you were following the GPS and suddenly you realize that the road the GPS told you was blocked. Okay, there was like a big landslide or something there. The road was blocked. So now I stand there and I say, GPS has told me to follow this road, and even though there is a landslide, now I will wait for people to come clear this landslide or start clearing it myself, but I will follow this road only to get to the destination. What is that? Is that agraha or agraha? What are we doing here? What is this person doing? There are other roads that could get to the destination, but he's saying the GPS has told me this road to follow, so I will only follow this road. I will Wait, I will get the landslide cleared up. I will clear it myself. What is he doing? Is he doing
Agraha. Agraha.
Agraha.
agraha? Agraha. A with the long A.
Longer
A with
A.
the diacritic, right? He is going to waste his time because this road may lead to destination eventually. But right now, in current time, place, and situation, this road is not working out for him. This road is not serving his purpose. So he should take another road, because the more important, the essential is to get to the destination, to the principle. So there are two words, rule and principle. Between the two, if something needs to be compromised, it should be the rule. The principle cannot be compromised. The principle is the essence of the subject matter. It is the essence, it is the destination, it is the goal, it is the actual outcome. That principle cannot be compromised. Okay, but how we get to that principle can be tweaked if needed. Okay, that can be tweaked if needed. So it is in the best interest of this person to take another road. If even if he has to go cross country, it is better to go cross country. Why waste your time in just fixing that landslide, because you may just get tired and exhausted and give up. So you will never reach that destination because you're sitting there clearing the road. Now take another example, same situation. The road is perfectly clear. Okay, nice weather, there is no rain, there is no wind, perfect weather, perfect circumstances, road is has no, it is a smooth road. Yet he insists, I will park my car and I will go from this side. ये side की road अच्छी लग रही है, वो छोटी road, narrow gully, उसमें से जाऊंगा to the destination. When GPS is saying take this road, now what is he doing?
Agraha.
Now he's doing agraha. So the road is clear. He has the capacity to follow that road. He has the vehicle. The winds are favorable. The sun is shining. The weather is good. The road is good. The road is smooth. Everything is fine. He's been given all the resources, all the capability, all the capacity to keep going on that road, and he will get to the destination in proper time, in a timely fashion. He will get there. Yet he is insisting, I'm going to take this other tutti frutti road, yeah, unknown road, which we don't know whether it may be a nice road, but GPS has not told us that. Maybe that road will be good, maybe it will be fraught with other problems, maybe there is a dead end there, maybe there is a gadda there, we don't know. So it is in the best interest for this person to keep following this road because it's nice. So this is the condition with niyamagraha and niyamagraha. The rules should be followed properly if one has the capacity and the time, place, and circumstances allow for us to follow that rule. And that rule has been given by the scriptures, by the guru, by the devotees, by Bhagwan. Then we should follow that rule, because that rule will help us to get to the destination in a timely fashion, in an efficient manner, in a joyful manner. Okay. So so rules serve a purpose. Okay, rules serve a purpose. Rules are the roads that get us to the destination. Now some people, what they do is they do not understand the importance of the rule. Just say, for example, what rules are we supposed to follow in our Krishna consciousness? Can somebody mention some rules that we follow that help us to
Regulative principles.
the 4 regulative principles? Yes, Mataji, can you mention them, list them, or anyone?
No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, and no intoxication.
Hari Bol, yeah. So 4 basic rules that are given to improve our bhakti, to improve our spiritual acumen, right? We have spiritual potential, so that we have more taste for chanting, hearing, reading, by avoiding. These are the don'ts, actually. So rules can be vidhi and nishedh. Rules can be do's and don'ts. There are certain things we do, certain things we don't. So what Mataji mentioned, 4 regulative principles, they are the 4 don'ts of bhakti. Don't do these things. Don't engage in meat eating. Don't engage in illicit relationships. Don't engage in intoxication. Don't engage in gambling. Those 4 are don'ts. So nishedh, things that we should avoid. Then there are certain things we should do. Like, what are the do's? Are there some do's also? Vidhi and nishedh. What are some do's that we have?
Chanting, reading religious books, association with devotees, and reading scriptures under the guidance of a guru.
Yes. So most important is chanting, right? When we take vows in front of the spiritual master, those are the do's and don'ts we mentioned. That I'll minimum chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and I will follow these 4 regulative principles of no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and no gambling, right? Those do's, and the do that we vow for is minimum chanting, right? Minimum japa that we do, minimum sadhana. This is our basic sadhana. What are some other do's that we follow? Like, think of your life. What are some other do's that you follow? Yes, Mataji mentioned reading scriptures, association of devotees. What else? Ekadashi fasting we keep, right? Ekadashi fasting is recommended. No beans or grains on Ekadashi. Going to the dham, visiting temples. Yes, Mataji.
Tulsi Puja.
Huh?
Tulsi Puja, Mataji.
Tulsi Puja, deity worship. There are some other do's also that we can follow. So these are all the rules, and ultimately they help us to develop attachment for spiritual practices. They enhance our spiritual consciousness. So we are more detached, more aloof from the material world, and more engaged in spiritual practices, right? That is the purpose of these do's and don'ts. So they serve a purpose, and we follow them so that we can improve our faith, improve our bhakti, right? Improve our taste for chanting and all, right? Now, let me give you an example. Somebody has some bad throat problem. Let's say they have throat cancer. Now, Prabhupada has told us that you should chant the japa loudly. This is a rule that we should chant it loudly. Not very loudly, but loudly enough that you can hear it. Now, this person is not able to chant loudly. So one devotee tells them that, Prabhupada has said that we should chant loudly. Since you have this cancer, you cannot chant. You cannot chant. You should not chant because you're not chanting loudly. So is this niyamagraha or niyamagraha? What is this devotee's recommendation?
This is Agraha, the one with the A. Strictly.
Agraha, right? He's sticking to the rule too much. Navya, you were saying something?
Oh, I was just about to say that.
So what should he do? Then that rule needs to be adjusted, because this rule of chanting loudly is not serving a purpose for him. The principle is what? To remember the Lord through his names, right? To invoke the Lord's presence through his names, to meditate on Lord's names, because names are non-different from the Lord. So we meditate on the Lord's name. So the practice for ordinary people is to chant loudly so that all their maximum senses are engaged. So they can speak and tongue is engaged, and they can hear the name so that the mind is not getting deviated. Speak and hear, right? And simultaneously doing on the mala, so the beads are moving, and preferably you have Tulsi Maharani or deity in front of you, so your eyes are also engaged. Like that, maximum senses are engaged. But this person is not able to chant loudly. Then he should do mansik japa, or he can do upamshu japa. Upamshu means like whispering. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So only he can hear some, right? So upamshu japa, that's called upamshu. So there is 3 types of japa: manasik, upamshu, and vachik. So vachik japa is recommended, but because of this person's limitation, the rule needs to be then adjusted. It needs to be adapted. So an acharya, a teacher, would know, when to adjust the rule. He knows how to adjust the rules. Like Prabhupada adjusted so many rules according to the time, place, and circumstances. He was not a stickler to the rules, actually. So niyamagraha, especially in current modern situation, can become a problem for people, because people especially I have seen this in Indian communities more, because Western communities are not, they're not aware of the rules to begin with. So but in Indian communities, I've seen that there is a lot of lot of stress given on rules in such a way that it makes it seem that if you broke the rule, you will get a sinful reaction, or you will you will have a some very negative outcome, something negative or adverse will happen to you if you broke this rule. So in order to keep that rule, people actually compromise on the principles. That, okay, Prabhupada has said that we should chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra in the morning in Brahma Muhurat, sitting, straight. So then that's how I will chant. But right now, my work is such that I cannot, I have to leave for work at, let's say, 4 in the morning. So since I'm not able to do it then, I will not do it any other time either. I'm not going to do that. Right now, I have a back problem. I cannot sit straight. So since we are recommended to sit straight during japa, I will not, lie back or something else to chant. So I will not chant in the evening because my morning time is occupied. So I will not chant at all. So what are they doing? They're compromising on their progress. They are actually following a spiritual practice imperfectly also will give you benefit. Remember, this is not material world, this is spiritual world, and Krishna is bhavgrahi. So even following a spiritual practice, Krishna knows your situation, your circumstances. Okay, so in that way, if you have a very big limitation, a very big hindrance in following the rule properly as it is intended, as it is enjoined to you, as it has been taught to you, then but with the guidance of your seniors, with the guidance of your other associates, you can tweak the rule to such a way that that rule will serve your purpose of spiritual growth. Ultimately, spiritual growth is the purpose. Attachment to Krishna is the purpose, not that rule itself is not important so much. So this is something like Prabhupada, for example, what he did was, like when we build temples, what is the reason to build a temple? A temple is a place where there are deities, there is Bhagwan, right? And there is worship of the deities happening, and people come together, like-minded people who all want to elevate themselves spiritually. They come together, they sing, they offer prayers, they do kirtan, they do japa, they hear scriptures or read scriptures, they eat prashadam. That's the temple. Now, traditionally in scriptures, it is mentioned that the deities in the temple should be facing the east side according to Vastu. And the temple should also be built in certain northeast part of the city or something like that. Okay. I don't know those details, but something like that is given in our scriptures. Now, if that can be done, perfect. Yes, that's perfect. But in our modern scenario, there are so many high-rise buildings, so much congestion, there is no space for temple. In such a situation, having a temple, having a place of worship where people can come together to progress spiritually is more important than to pay heed to these rules of the Vastu and other things, like where the location of deities is, where location of the temple is, and all this. So when somebody criticized Prabhupada that in all your temples, the deities are facing this way or that way, they're not following the Vastu. So Prabhupada, as very quick-witted, as usual, as always, he said, in our temples, the rule is, Ito Narsimha, Parito Narsimha, Yato Yato Yami, Tato Narsimha. So wherever you see, everywhere there is Narsimha. So Bhagwan is everywhere in our temple. So, so the point is that the essence needs to be kept. The essence always needs to be preserved. So in the temple, the essence is preaching, the essence is remembrance of the Lord. That is being preserved. If the deities are not facing the right way, or some, small rules are adjusted so that maximum people can be accommodated, because let's say in New York, when Prabhupada built temple, or in San Francisco, and so many, London and all these places, heavily congested places, plus people, if you look for a proper land very far out of the town, people are not going to go there, people are not going to visit that temple. So he preferred to make the temple in the middle of the downtown or uptown, actually, because in those days it was the uptown was the place to be. So in uptowns he made the temple so that maximum people will come, and actually masses will be able to come, classes will be able to come, and then they can be all engaged in the service of the Lord. So he paid more importance to the service, to the worship, to the preaching, to the chanting, than to those rules which need to be adjusted. In Srimad Bhagavatam comes two very important situations in which two very great personalities had to adjust the rules. Actually, there are many instances, but this word comes: time, place, circumstances. You might have heard this. So according to time, place, and circumstances, our practice of religion. Okay, so there are two aspects. Let's understand this. There is an external and there is an internal, okay? An exterior and an interior. Exterior is our practices. Exterior is religion. Internal is love for God, love for devotees, connection with the Lord, the spirituality. So spiritual is internal. Spirit is internal. The practices, the rituals, the religion, how we practice is external. For example, in Hindu dharma, let's say in Hindu religion, the practice of paying obeisances is with folded hands or bowing down on the ground. In let's say Muslim religion, it is by raising hands like this. In some other religion, it's some other way, like different ways to pay obeisances or to convey your respects to the higher authority, right? Different ways people will pay obeisances. In the Christianity, they will kneel and have folded hands like this. So in this way, different ways in which the exteriors or externals can be different, but the spirit or the internals always remain the same, that all religions want you to connect to the Lord. Now, we are not saying that one is less important than other. Both are important, okay? In an ideal practice, in an ideal world, both needs to be preserved. But if one had to be given up, then it is the external that can be given up and the internal needs to be preserved more. But if you have the capability to preserve the external also, then you should do that also. So I was saying, in Bhagavatam, there comes this word, time, place, and circumstance. Desh, Kal, Vibhagavit. What does that applies not to the internals, that applies to externals. The rituals or the practices, the outward practice has to be adjusted according to the time, place, and circumstances. Okay. So when does this word come? Desh, Kal, Vibhagavit. This comes in the Bhishma's prayers. In first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhishma Pitama is laying on the bed of arrows, okay? And Krishna, along with the Pandavas, upon the request of Yudhishthira Maharaj, comes to visit him, to visit Bhishma. And when Krishna and Pandavas come, there are many, many great sages, many demigods, many great personalities, many saints come to hear Bhishma speak. Okay, because Bhishma was going to offer those beautiful, beautiful prayers that are mentioned in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhishma was going to offer those prayers to Krishna, and Bhishma was going to give a very nice discourse to Yudhishthira Maharaj on how to run the kingdom. Because Yudhishthira Maharaj had just won the battle, just won the war of Mahabharat, and he had ascended to the throne of Hastinapur. So he did not know how to run. He wanted to get knowledge from Bhishma on how to run the kingdom. He was in doubts. He was feeling very remorseful on having killed so many people in the war. So Bhishma was going to help him get through all those fears and limitations. So then he's laying on the bed of arrows, and all these great personalities come. When a great personality comes in front of you, what are we supposed to do? Let's say Guru Maharaj is coming. What do? Dandavat pranam, right? Dandavat means dande ke saman. Dande ke saman zameen pe gir jao. Dandavat pranam. Ladies will do panchang pranam. So you will offer obeisances. Now, Bhishma Pitama could not get up from the bed of arrows. So the verse describes, actually I can open up this verse. The verse describes that he knew, Bhishma, being such an elevated personality, knew the proper rules and regulations. He knew that he has to offer obeisances, but he cannot get up. He is limited. He cannot get up. So what did he decide? He said, according to the time, place, and circumstances, I am adjusting this rule of paying obeisances to so many great personalities, and I'm going to offer my obeisances very humbly in my mind. So he paid obeisances through his mind. So he said, Desh, Kal, Vibhagavad, that according to my situation, time, place, and circumstance, I will need to adjust this rule. Similarly, in case of Dhruv Maharaj also comes that he wanted to perform deity worship. And he did not have deities. So he did Mansik worship in the forest because he was in the forest. So he did Mansik worship in the forest. So this is Desh, Kal, Vibhagavad, according to time, place, and circumstance. This is called Niyam agraha, not being a stickler. Like agraha means being a stickler to the rule, compromising on the principle. Now, agraha means rejecting the rule even when you have all the resources, all the capability, all the capacity to follow, still not following it properly. That is called agraha. So you cannot say ki, okay, I'm going to tweak the rule just because it does not fit me. No, it maybe if your situation is dire enough, then yes, after the guidance of seniors and superiors, you can tweak the rule, then it's agraha. But if you're whimsically ignoring the rule, that no, I'm just not, this rule is not important, I'm not going to follow this rule, then that is agraha. That will be a problem in your advancement, because rule does serve a purpose. It is a clear road to get you to the outcome, and you decided not to follow that road, you took some alternate path, it will take you longer to get there because you are doing something which is not anukul to bhakti, which may be pratikul, which may be against the bhakti. So so those externals or details also matter. Like for example, let's take very simple example, Vaishnav attire. So dress in the temple, when you dress in Vaishnav attire, when you put tilak, kanthimala, sari, dhoti, then that changes your consciousness. It suddenly brings you in a different consciousness, because when you wear those tight clothing that shows off your body contours or that shows off your body, then you're in bodily consciousness, right? And other people also, because everybody's ordinary people. If you go to temple like that, people may, you're bringing out the bodily consciousness in yourself and others, because we are showing off our body. So by wearing these clothes that are properly covering you, that are the proper Vaishnava attire, it will change your consciousness. These are chaste, simple clothes. So these are conducive for better consciousness. So in this way, dress is important. But again, if you're not able to, let's say you coming from work, and it is better that you go to temple now straight from work, you're in a suit boot, pants and suit, and later on you will not be able to change and come back, then it is a higher principle to go to the temple than to change your attire. But now let's say you are at home, you have the option, you have different dresses available, yet you decide to put body hugging dresses and things like that to go to temple, then that is whimsically neglecting the rule. So in this way, you have to develop this intelligence. That's why I think this book is so important, because these small things that nobody thinks about, and I'm always getting questions about this in our sanghas. I think this book helps you to understand those. Similarly with posture, like our Guru Maharaj, he says, sit, straight when doing japa. Sit straight. Now, of course, we are very weak, our body is very weak, so we slide down. But then when you remember, then sit straight again, right? But let's say somebody is not able to, let's say an older person, they have a problem. They're not able to, maybe they need to recline, or they need to slouch, or even lie back. Let's say, somebody is very weak, they may have to lie. That's okay. More important to still chant. But it cannot be ignored that yes, if you're able to, your body allows, then you should sit straight, because that posture will affect your psychology. It suddenly, think about it. When somebody, when two people are talking, right? If you sit straight and listen, the other person will be able to talk properly. They will be able to listen properly. A better conversation happens, better communication happens, because you're so attentive and listening. Whereas if you're just like here and there, then it's like neither that person is very interested in talking to you, nor you're very interested in listening. So body language does play a role. So if we can follow, then we should try to follow the rule. But if the rule becomes an obstacle in our growth, then it may need to be adjusted. It may need to be tweaked a little. I'll stop here. I'll just pause here to see what other people, any devotees have any reflections. There is more we can discuss on this. Let's take any questions, or who wants to share anything? Rekha Mataji, Hema Mataji, Ramesh Prabhu, Namita Mataji, Nagarjun Prabhu, any reflections or realizations, please share.
Thank you, Mataji, for explaining this. I think it's really good that you explained this better. But I think there is a notion that everything has to be very strictly followed, and then people get caught up with that, and then that actually takes them away from Krishna consciousness, or at least from ISKCON, right? So that is what drives them away, saying, "Oh, I have to follow so many things. I know the basic principles you have to follow, but sometimes, like getting up in the morning, sitting straight, chanting 4 o'clock in the morning, and Brahma Murta state, and now that actually does not encourage people to
Right.
come to ISKCON. So that's a very good point that you outlined, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So it is a gradual shift. So we don't, when new people come to Krishna consciousness, it is not going to be an abrupt change. It will not be an abrupt change. It has to be a gradual shift. So the focus is on adding the do's and not worrying so much about the details. For example, somebody is not chanting. More important is to start chanting the Lord's name, start doing the japa. Let's say their lifestyle is such right now, they cannot chant in the morning. Then it's okay to chant when you are driving. It's okay to chant in the evening. There are so many, I know, people have to get the food ready for their husband or kids in the morning, so their morning time is completely occupied actually, but they are able to sit down and chant once their children and husband has gone. So like at 9 or 10 they'll start chanting. Fine, it's more important to chant. So at least add Krishna, because then once you add Krishna, you will see changes in your life, you will see changes in yourself, you will see changes in your dealings. So the transformation will happen. That transformation will then increase your faith to follow the details also properly. So it's not like you have to stress so much on the details in the very beginning. In the very beginning, it is more important to give the essence. Just read one verse. It's not like, okay, I have to take a shower and read, and I have to give up all problems. I should not be eating meat and give up all alcohol. My house should be alcohol free before I'll even have a Bhagavad Gita in my house. No. Start reading. Read one verse, two verse, whatever. In whatever condition you are, whatever situation you are, sitting at work, you have some break time, just read then. It's okay. And then when the cleansing happens, when the transformation happens, when the consciousness uplifts, when the taste develops, then when the faith will improve, then the person will be able to do those things actually in even proper way. The quantity will then increase, the quality will then increase. But initially people just take it up and they just need to fit it in their existing life somewhere. So in your existing life, one just needs to fit these things somewhere, and then the Krishna will then enter your life and will readjust your life, and you also make an effort to readjust your life. So readjust your lifestyle so that eventually at our stage, I think most of the people here in this call, at our stage, we are at the point where everybody has readjusted their lifestyle enough that there is a lot of spiritual activities and material activities simultaneously going. But it all started with just introducing, making time somewhere in the life, some just adding and not worrying so much about the details. But now we are also focusing on details and trying to refine the practices, trying to, जैसे painting होती है ना, painting को fine touches देने होते हैं. So now we're giving fine touches, and okay, now I'm chanting. I know I'm chanting, let's say 16 rounds, but now let me do quality chanting. Let me refine my chanting. Let me sit properly. Let me focus on each and every mantra. Let me try to do it in the morning time. Like that, we are now refining and adding details, adding fine touches. So then a beautiful painting comes out. But yeah, it has to be a gradual shift. And it's okay not to follow perfectly in the beginning.
And also another point, Mataji, I wanted to add is like, sometimes, at least, sometimes I also judge sometimes on, oh, I've been chanting or I've been in the Krishna consciousness so many years, and I just try to compare and things like that. I mean, that's also not correct, because everybody is in different state in their life. So in their, Krishna consciousness. So I'm just, taking my example because I can. So that's, we cannot
Yeah.
compare with anybody else.
Yeah. We don't need to judge anyone. It's a ladder. Some people are everybody's getting there. Everybody's getting there. So some people are higher, some people are lower. You just focus on your own journey. We just focus on our own journey. So yeah, so it's okay not to follow very perfectly in the beginning, but remember that spiritual practices are such that even following imperfectly in the beginning will yield maximum benefit. And material activities, on the other hand, when even done perfectly to the T, you can dot your I's and cross your T's, even then they will have no ultimate benefit, only temporary benefit in this life. But spiritual activities, even when performed imperfectly, will give you ultimate benefit. So, but constantly we should be evaluating. We should aim for the best. Constantly we should be evaluating. And having said that, remember that we don't want to compromise on the standards either. So we try not to compromise on the standards. Remembering that rules do serve a purpose and they will help us get to our destination faster and in a more joyful way. They seem hard in the beginning, but when adopted with the enthusiasm, with determination, then very quickly you start seeing results actually. And you slowly, you actually very quickly they make change. And as you see changes, then it becomes easier to follow the rules also. जैसे weight loss करते हैं ना, तो I often tell patients कि just get started. Like if you get started, you lose 2 pounds, 5 pounds, then you see the weighing scale going down and you're like, okay, I can do this. And then you're able to exercise more and better, actually, more effectively. So similarly, following the rules is not such a bad thing either. They help you get to a place where we need to go. But yes, with the new people in the beginning, and remember that also on you, the rules should be applied on yourself, not on others. You can apply them on your dependents, but not on other people. Any other realizations before I share any more?
I want to share one thing, Mataji. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Mata. Hare Krishna.
There was an instance when we had to think about whether distributing Bhagavad Gita is okay for giving it to people who are eating meat or who don't know the value of it. I feel like I came to the same conclusion that it is okay for them to have it, and eventually someday they might be able to read Bhagavad Gita at any point of their life, and then it might change them. It is not in our place to judge them. It is between them and Krishna. So we are only an instrument to give the book.
Yes,
and
Mataji.
also-
Prabhupada never said anything to. He gave Krishna consciousness to all those people. They were not only eating meat; they were engaging in illicit sex and all kind of drugs and whatnot, and all kind of abominable things.
As Indians, Mataji, we have this concept, right? They don't know how to value our scriptures, so we shouldn't give. And such things came up in amongst conversations. And so my thought was that it's all right, And the other thing was about prasad, giving prasad to homeless people. Like they might eat it or they might not eat it. They might throw it because they might not like it. But the thing is that, yeah, they might not honor the prasad, but if they do, then they will benefit. So it's better to just give it.
Yes, Mataji.
I
Mataji,
felt that.
one rule I'll tell you about doing any service.
Mhm.
The service should be done for one's own purification, for our purification. Whether other person's purification happens or not is secondary. That's not in your hands, like you just said. That is
Yeah.
the outcome. But we don't do service for other person's purification. We are doing service for our purification. So so किसी का भला हुआ ना हुआ हो, लेकिन भगवत गीता देने से, प्रसाद देने से आपका भला तो हो गया.
Yeah.
Right. So remember that.
Thank you.
So often in ISKCON, we talk about being munificent, Bhurida Jana, ya being like Nityananda, and we're going door to door, setting up a marketplace of holy names and distributing holy names to everyone. So often it sounds like we are very big people who are giving things to others. But actually, that has been blown out of proportion. The point here is first one's own purification. So these services that we are doing, all these things are purifying us. like we held this Janmashtami festival or this Ram Navami. All these things are first for our purification. It's not like we are putting it up. Yes, we are putting it up for other people also. But that anxiety that we take for putting up the program, for assembling people, for getting the prasadam together, performances together, getting the hall ready, cleaning it before and after, all that anxiety that we take, it's not like कि हम इतने बड़े उदार दिल हैं कि हम लोगों के लिए करें. First of all, it is benefiting me. It is for my own benefit. So
Very
when
nice.
you get it like that, immediately it wouldn't matter how the other person receives it or how the other person will respond to it or will take it up or not. That is very secondary. What is important is one's own purification.
Very nice point, Mataji. Thank you so much. I never thought it that way. That's a very, very good point. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for sharing. So, yeah, and that's why I've mentioned before that in Indian population it happens. We go from one extreme to another. Like I've seen this extreme also. When we say you should chant this many, why don't you chant on the mala or chant this many number? Like let's fix 4 a day, 2 a day, whatever. So कई लोगों से जवाब मिलता है हमारे तो सारा दिन भगवान का नाम चलता है हमारे मन में, भगवान का निरंतर चलता है हमारे मन में. No, but that's not the recommendation. The recommendation is to chant consistently a certain number of rounds every day. क्योंकि if सारा दिन जब मन में चलता है तो वो तो that's not counted, and what is not counted will not really help you actually, because you may not do that much amount the next day. You may the mind has a tendency to lag, so it will so you have to do a consistent amount every day for a certain amount of time or certain number of rounds and like that. So our Goswamis have recommended this, that we should count how much we are chanting, how much we are doing things, not just in mind. So whimsically neglecting that rule, so sometimes they become so laid back, especially Indian people tend to become so laid back that nahi hum to sara time hi bhagwan ko yaad karte hain. Similarly, like my patients will sometimes say ki exercise karte ho din mein, like find some time to do exercise, like 30 minutes a day, 1 hour a day. So they'll say, no, we are working in the yard continuously. So that example always reminds me of this, how people say we're continuously chanting in our mind. So I said, no, that working in the yard does not really count as exercise. You have to do a certain quantity of exercise. What is counted, what is quantified grows actually, because you know how much you're doing, then you can pad it up, you can do more next time. So if it's not quantified, it's just it's not very important, it just doesn't matter, it's in the background. So it does not really give any benefit, and no matter how hard those people try, for ages and ages there is no weight loss. Similarly, with this man mein chal raha hai jab, no counting does not really help much. So sometimes we tend to whimsically neglect rules like that. And on the other extreme, like you mentioned, sometimes we become so strict that, I will not touch Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam because I'm impure, or because so and so is impure, should not read scriptures. So in that we forget the higher principle of reading the scriptures. Anybody else has any? I think on this there can be some discussion. Namita Mataji.
No, Mataji, I'm good. You explained it really nicely with the difference between agraha and agraha. Makes more sense now. So.
Okay. Yeah, so certain things are like matter of preference. But they are not absolute. But sometimes we make the matter of preference absolute. For example, there is this in Krishna consciousness. This is split. Not split, but nowadays it's changed already. But Indian people used to say, Bhagavatam mein we should not write, highlight, and we should not do any of those things. We should preserve it. So people will not even remove the plastic covering from it. And then there were other group of people who were saying, no, Bhagavatam is a book. How do you decorate a deity? You should write in it, you should read, you should mark, highlight, write in the margins, put your note cards in and things like that. अच्छे से पढ़ी होनी चाहिए. Forget about not removing plastic cover. That's not even acceptable for Bhagavatam. You have to remove the plastic cover. You have to read, write, everything. So that is a matter of preference. Like it's not absolute. Okay, if some devotee, let's say, feels they have some deep-rooted understanding that, oh, we cannot write on Bhagavatam, and they don't want to, fine. I mean, so it's a matter of preference. It's not absolute. So we don't have to become fanatic. It can be fanaticism either way. We don't have to impose these matters of preference as rules. They're just matter of preference. So one should know when to adapt, and this comes with maturity. Like as we keep on practicing, one matures, and these type of ideas will develop. The very famous pastime comes of Krishna with gopis. Navya will remember. Navya, do you remember we did a play on it? When Krishna had a headache, gopis broke a very big rule.
Yeah.
Can you tell that pastime quickly?
So one time Krishna told Nārangi that I have a really big headache, and the only way it can be cured is if some devotee puts some pure devotee puts the dust of their feet on my head. And Nārangi said, okay, I will try to find someone to do that, but I can't do it myself, or else I'll get sins and be sent to hell. So he went around asking everyone, but no one wanted to do it because that was going to be a very big offense. So Nārangi came back to Krishna and he said, I can't find anyone to do it. Krishna said, did you go to Vrindavan and check with the gopis? He says, no, okay, I'll go do that. And then Nārangi goes to tell the gopis, and the gopis are like, oh, Nārangi, do you have any news about Krishna? What's happening? Is he okay? And Nārangi says, no, actually he's got a very big headache, and the only way it can be cured is if you put the dust of your feet on his head. They said, okay, we'll do that. Anything so Krishna can be happy. But Nārangi said, don't you care that this is going to be a very big offense? And don't you care that this is going to be a very big offense, and you're going to be sent to hell? But the gopi said, no, it's okay. We don't care. We'll go to hell as long as Krishna feels better.
Very bold. I hope everybody caught that story. So your feet, your dust of your feet on Lord's head, that is a very big pap. That is, according to scriptures, that is a very big offense. You will go to hellish planets or lower species for that. But Gopi said, knowing that Krishna is suffering from a bad headache and only the dust of our feet can cure it, knowing that he has a headache we are suffering in hellish planets already. We are already suffering the misery of hell, just knowing that he's in misery. So yes, please take the dust. So nobody else was ready to take the dust. Like Rekha Mataji mentioned in the chat, the queens of Dwarka will not give the dust because of the concern for suffering. The Narad Muni did not give, other people did not give, citizens of Dwarka did not give the dust of their feet. So who gave? Gopis gave the dust of their feet to be put as ointment on Krishna's head, because that will satisfy Krishna. So remember, the dharma, the principle, dharma का मतलब है जो भगवान को खुश करता है. One that satisfies or pleases the Lord, that is dharma. So धर्मान तो साक्षात भगवत प्रणीतम. धर्म वो है जो साक्षात भगवान को खुश करता है. धर्मान तो साक्षात भगवत प्रणीतम. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. And remember, there is a very famous verse in Puranas, in Vishnu Puran. It says, स्मर्तव्या सततम विष्णु विस्मर्तव्यो न जात चित सर्वे विधि निषेधास्युर एतव्योर एव किंकरा. स्मर्तव्या सततम Vishnu. Always remember Krishna. Vismartavyo na jatachit. Never forget Krishna. Sarve vidhi nishedasur. All rules and regulations, all vidhi and nished, do's and don'ts, are the servant of these two rules. Etavyor eva kinkara. Kinkara means, like when I say I'm your kinkara, that means I'm your servant. So all rules and regulations are in servitude. They are servant to this one rule that needs to be upheld at all times, that Krishna, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. There are only two rules. So all the rules and regulations that you discussed, perfect. But above them, there is only these two rules. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. And whatever rules and regulations stop you from getting to that rule should be discarded. Whatever rules and regulations enable you to do that should be adopted very fiercely, very nicely. So discard any useless rituals or rules that are a hindrance and adopt those rules and rituals that are given by our acharyas that are favorable for us very strictly. So in general, we have to follow the rules to get to the principles in a timely, efficient, joyful fashion. But sometimes certain rules are not conducive, then they need to be adjusted thoughtfully. Okay, not whimsically, thoughtfully, they need to be adjusted. एक और कहानी आती है. This Nagarchand Prabhu will know if he's in a position to share. And this comes in the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Something. So do you all know this rule that one does not cross over anybody's body? किसी की body के ऊपर से नहीं जाते टाप के. Do you know in scripture there comes this rule? It is very considered very sinful. And forget crossing over the body of a devotee or a Vaishnav. In fact, जब temples में if you touch somebody's body with your foot, you have to, जैसे cross कर होते हैं, बहुत भीड़ होती है, it's very crowded, you're crossing the temple, you have to like do this so that you kind of accept, you kind of offer an apology. But to cross over the body of a devotee, to cross over the body of a Vaishnava, of a senior Vaishnava, of a guru, big aparadh, right? Big offense. And now to cross over the body of Lord himself, Mahaprabhu himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, very big offense, even bigger offense, right? But there comes a pastime in which his servant crossed over the body of Mahaprabhu to perform for the greater good, for a bigger goal. What is
this? Was in Gambhira, right?
Yes, Nagarjuna Prabhu, please share that pastime.
I sorry, I don't remember very well, but I remember in Gambhira this happened. I think he didn't want to wake Mahaprabhu because Mahaprabhu had.
Let me tell you. So who has been to Jagannath Puri and has seen the room of Mahaprabhu, Gambhira, where Mahaprabhu used to stay? I know Rekha Mataji has. Chota sa room, it's very small. And remember, Mahaprabhu is very tall, like almost 7 feet tall, right? So Mahaprabhu, for the last 12 years, he just stayed in Gambhira, in that room in Jagannath Puri. So he was sleeping in that room. Let me find that picture. He's sleeping. There is a famous painting describing that pastime. He's sleeping in that room across the door so that there is no way to get into the room without crossing over the body of Mahaprabhu. Okay? But Mahaprabhu ke khane ka time ho gaya tha. Okay, Mahaprabhu prasad time was there. And so his servant did not know how to enter the room without waking up Mahaprabhu until the time. Let me show you this picture. You can see on your screen. So Mahaprabhu was sleeping in such a way that it was blocking the entrance of the door. And Govinda, his servant, needed to enter the room. So you can read this pastime, actually. It's written in this. Mahaprabhu, after taking his lunch, would rest for a while, and Govinda was daily massaging his feet. One day, Mahaprabhu fell asleep very soon and keeping his head on the threshold. While he was sleeping, Govinda came, crossing the body of Chaitanya and massaged his feet. But he was sitting there. So when Mahaprabhu awoke, he saw that Govinda was sitting there, although it was too late. So Mahaprabhu सोए रहे, बहुत देर तक सोते रहे, and खाने का time भी निकल गया, and Govinda did not even eat. But he crossed over Mahaprabhu to enter the room to massage Mahaprabhu's feet. तो ये एक तरह से अपराध है. लेकिन his goal was to massage Mahaprabhu's feet, which is for the greater benefit. So he wanted to accomplish that, even though for that he has to commit an offense. He was okay for that. He was okay doing that, even though it is an offense. It is sin. But he wanted to massage Mahaprabhu's feet, which is a greater bliss, greater joy for Mahaprabhu, who's none other than Krishna. But when the time was done, he could have left. जैसे वो आए थे, वो बाहर भी जा सकते थे, cross करके. लेकिन he did not go to get his meal to cross. Why? Because he told Mahaprabhu that I entered, crossed over your body to massage your feet, to give you pleasure. I'm not going to do this second time to get food for myself. अपने लिए नहीं मैं करूंगा ऐसा अपराध, आपके लिए करने को तैयार हूं. So you see the difference, the mood. So to serve the Vaishnavas, to serve the Bhagwan, to serve the greater good, to serve the people, we can commit these type of, you can, not offense, but you can say adjustment to the rule. Okay, वो माफ हो जाएगा. लेकिन अपने भोग के लिए if you are committing an offense and modifying the rule, then that is a problem. So Mahaprabhu woke up and he said, Govinda, you have not taken your prasadam? He replied, yes, I shall now go to take prasadam. Mahaprabhu inquired, why so late? He replied, I could not go on the other side because you were lying on the threshold. Mahaprabhu said, but how did you come in? He flatly replied, by crossing you. Then Mahaprabhu inquired, why did you not go out by crossing me? Govinda said, that I cannot do. I came crossing you inside the room for your service, but I cannot go out crossing you for taking my lunch. That would be for my sense gratification. So this is something we have to understand, that when it's for Lord's pleasure, we take all kinds of, for Lord's pleasure, Prabhupada bent many rules to adjust so that more people can be included. And look, all those people who were eating meat, we are scared to give them Krishna consciousness. But these people were doing all kind of abominable things. But Prabhupada knew that it will please Krishna to give them Krishna consciousness. That is the greater good, not to get inhibited by the rules. So he tweaked, he adjusted. It's more important that they start chanting, reading, hearing, dancing, Harinam Kirtan, book distribution, whatnot. So this is the mood of devotees, that we have to please the God. And then in the end, basically, there is room for some individual choice within the broad principles of Krishna consciousness. So there are broad principles that we are practicing, and we can tweak the rules so that our growth is maximized. Basically, you have to understand how my spiritual practices can consistently go on, continuously go on in a favorable manner and progress. How can I adjust my lifestyle? How can I adjust my practices, the externals as well as internals, in such a way that I can continually progress. So सबको अपना अपना देखना होगा, what is my limitations, whether it's household limitations, society related, professional limitations, health related limitations, family related limitations, city में जहाँ रहते हैं, limitations, there will be some deficiencies in this material world. This is not spiritual world. This is material world. It is imperfect. It is imperfectly perfect. So there are imperfections here. Those imperfections have to be taken into account when practicing our spiritual, our sadhana, our spiritual activity, so that there is maximum growth for each of us. So this is the import of this whole verse, कि अत्याहार, प्रयास, प्रजल्पा सब इस तरीके से करना है, just that we can have maximum growth. So how much to consume, how much to take from this world. We discussed the concept of atyahar and prayas, selective engagement in this world, calculated approach, selected approach. How much to engage with people, how much to engage with the activities of this world, how much to work in this world, how much to take from this world, how much to give to this world. All this back and forth with the world, we have to do in such a way that it is not harmful to our spiritual practices. Okay. The last word of this verse is lolyam. Lolyam basically means greed for mundane achievements. Okay. Mundane achievements meaning trying to impress the people of this world, trying to accumulate too many accolades, fame, name in this world, too much property, too much material engagements. So mundane things, ordinary things that are not related to the Lord. So what does that do? That much greed for this world makes Krishna very low in our priority. Material activities will overpower our spiritual sadhana, spiritual practices, and Krishna will become very low in our priority. So you will get off course, you will get deviated. So Krishna's forgetfulness will persist. So that is called lolyam. Lolyam ka matlab hota hai greed. In basic terms, it is greed. But greed for what? Greed for name, fame, accolades, keep those things that keep us very much engaged in this world. So there is no time for Krishna. But we have to keep coming back to track. Sometimes we may get distracted with material things, but then again, come back to track. And that's why we should have a daily fixed number of chanting, fixed number of reading, some certain minimum spiritual practices that we do, which keep bringing us back to the center. So we have to create a lifestyle that is conducive for spiritual growth. Cut out some things and add some other things. Like that. So adjust the people, adjust the routine that you're following, adjust the work, adjust your activities, and it will be a gradual adjustment, not a very abrupt one. That's all I have to share. Let's take some questions, realizations.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Very, very important concept. And as we said, a lot of times people, the Niyam Agraha, a lot of times people don't progress because of Niyam Agraha, because they feel like they can't do, they are doing this or that, so they don't do anything. So, something is better than nothing always. And any names of Krishna chanted in whatever condition would still be helpful. I was also just realizing that the whole pretext of Bhagavad Gita is pretty much based upon Niyamagraha. In the sense that when the mother Draupadi's, Vastraharan, that thing in the Sabha, all that was just Niyamagraha. That there were many reasons for all these things, but it can be discussed that great people like Dronacharya and Bhishma Dev, they were all there, and if it wasn't for Niyamagraha, the whole thing would not have happened. Same, the example of Karna is given for Niyamagraha. I don't think for Karna, it's also he knew what is right, but just because he said that I had given my word to my friend, I can't leave his side. He knew he was on the side of the wrongdoers, and if he would have not done that, then Duryodhan wouldn't have had this audacity to fight against the Pandavas. It was on his strength that he was fighting. So a lot of lessons from Mahabharata and are based upon Niyamagraha, and in the pretext of Bhagavad Gita, as Arjun is having this confusion, is all about Niyamagraha, that how can I fight against my own kinsmen? And then he learns the bigger aspect that whatever is done for the service of Krishna is the dharma. So otherwise, so just wanted to mention those thoughts. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Thank you, Nagarjan Prabhu. Yeah, those are very big, in a big way that dharma was damaged. So that was very big, adharmic activities they committed. And in Karna's case, there was also Jan Sangha. He wanted to he incited Duryodhan and all when in the gambling match. He said the first statement which led to the Vastraharan Leela. And that was that, and he repented that statement his whole life, and that was direct result of Jan Sangha, because he was in association of Duryodhan and such. So he wanted to impress them that I'm also like you, and he was trying to impress them, trying to be cool, trying to play cool, but so that he repented the whole life. But thank you, Nagarjan Prabhu, for sharing. Yeah, so those are in a big way, but in our daily life, I would say it does not become, it becomes more a matter of, small obstacles in our progress, not very big adharma, but small obstacles. Like some people I see here, they say, हम लोग सुबह चैंटिंग नहीं कर पाते तो हम नहीं करेंगे, जब तक मेरा काम इतना ठीक नहीं होता कि मैं सुबह कर सकता हूँ, तब तक मैं नहीं करूंगा. जब तक मैं 16 माला एक साथ बैठ के नहीं कर सकता, तब तक मैं नहीं करूंगा. Like that. जब तक मैं पूरा स्क्रीन ऑन करके क्लास नहीं सुन सकता, तब तक मैं नहीं सुनूंगा. All those things, all those rules are they're matter of preference. They are just imposing extra problems on yourself in this material world. We don't need to impose so many extra rules on ourselves that hinder the spiritual growth. As it is, it's hard to be spiritual. As it is, it is hard to be in contact of devotees, to be reading, hearing, chanting. You're lucky if you got in touch with devotees and got Harinam, got Harikatha. And then on top of that, if you add all these small details that may never happen, it's just very, that takes one away, because then that person slowly loses taste, and loss of taste happens gradually. It does not happen suddenly. It happens that also happens gradually. Gradually the person loses taste. So yes, so also, but दूसरी बात भी याद रखनी है कि like if you are capable, जैसे कि if we don't have DT, if we don't have resources to offer food, then we can do mansik seva. We can offer in the mind, but or that person will give patram pushpam या थोड़ा सा. Lekin if somebody is very rich, opulent, they have the capability, they have the resources to offer a nice bhoga to the Lord, and then we are not offering, then that's a problem. So it has to be taken in a balanced way. What are your means, your resources, your time, your services? All those things have to be taken into account when this, agraha or agraha happens. So if one has means and you can offer more opulent things, then yes, you should. That is a recommendation कि भगवान को अच्छे से भोग लगना चाहिए. तब ऐसे नहीं कह सकते भगवान तो सिर्फ मन का, he only takes our love and devotion, is भावग्राही, तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है? No, yes, he accepts love and devotion, true. The spirit has to be there, but ritual can also be added. So ritual also needs to be there. So internal, external, if both can be combined, then actually that gives a nice flavor of bhakti, Krishna consciousness. Both will help you advance. But if externals are not possible, then yes, they can be adjusted or left behind for the greater good of following the internals. We'll stop here unless anybody has any other points, realizations or corrections. Hiral Mataji, thank you for joining. Do you have any questions? I don't know if you were able to hear or.
Hare Krishna Mataji. No, I do have questions, but some of the questions are getting answered along the way, and I sometimes don't know if my question's stupid enough to ask, so I just stop myself. But I'm gonna bring myself to ask more questions next time.
Sure. And we will meet so we can talk then, and we can talk privately on phone also. But no questions are low enough, Mataji. All doubts are welcome. There should be questions. In our practice, we encourage a lot of questions actually. So I'm just not able to leave enough time for question answer sometimes at the end of the class. But never think that any question is, every question helps you advance.
Yes, Mataji, it helps you and it helps others also, because you may think it's only your question, but other people will benefit from it too, or the discussion too.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely ask. I wanted to ask something today about the mala japa.
Sure. Yes, Mataji.
Doing like 16 malas in the Brahma Muhurat. Obviously, I'm not able to do it. I do it on my own time.
I'm not able to do it either, Mataji. Let's just
whenever
say
I can. And certainly I don't do 16 mala. I do like one or two as I get time.
Sure.
But my question was, like during the period cycle, is it okay to like not do japa? Is it okay to use tulsi mala, or do we? I don't know the rules around. What are the rules? Like when you're having that period cycle, are you supposed to use tulsi mala and chant, or just mansik japa, or?
That is actually a very important question, Mataji. I don't know why you think you cannot ask. Yeah. It's so periods related, menstruation related questions are very common actually, Mataji. So this includes everything. This includes, that's why I was saying the external impurity. So external impurity is not only what we are eating or what we are like somebody's drinking alcohol, all those, but menstruation also is a part of that. So, and Mataji, I may have a different practice than other devotees in this group. So one main thing I would tell you is that DT worship, especially if it is in temple, and is not allowed when you are menstruating, because the DT worship has very strict standards, and there are other devotees to serve the Lord. So other devotees can take up that service because there are more people available. And in home, I sometimes get questioned whether you can serve tulsi, do DT worship, make bhoga, offer bhoga. So for those, again, same rule applies. If you have other people, your husband, your kids, anyone can offer bhoga, make bhoga, then yes, they can. But if they cannot, if it hinders the service, then that has to be then you should make it. You should make, you should offer, you should serve, you should do Tulsi Puja, because service is supreme. Service must go on. Seva must go on. And in these days, in households, we don't have enough people to do other things, right? To help us out. Now, as far as chanting, so Mataji, Tulsi Mala you can avoid if you want. You can, there is also, there are many ways to do this. You can do on neem beads. You can also use that, like we have water from the kundas that you can use to sprinkle, just purify after you've chanted. So, or you can, that's what I would recommend. If you have, you can use other beads also. In general, with Tulsi, like even wearing Tulsi also, we have to avoid onion, garlic, these things which may not happen all the time. So you can adjust according to you. If you have some other beads, you can use something else, or you can purify them with some Ganga Jal or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I have this sankalpa for certain reason that I will do like one mala every day, no matter what. And so that sankalpa, just I have to.
If you do not have any other beads, you can continue.
Okay, yeah. So I basically turn on the YouTube 108 malas and do it in like Mansik Japa. But I just wanted to know, like, is it okay to use the mala, some different mala, and
Yes.
do it? So you
Yes,
answer my
definitely.
question. Yeah.
Definitely, you have to chant. Chanting must go on.
Okay.
And Mataji, there is a Japa app on the phone that also you can use.
Okay.
But Mansik means not speaking. So speaking is okay. Periods or no periods. Speaking is okay.
Yeah.
You can speak like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Like that. So yes, periods से related बहुत होते हैं लोग थोड़ा सा these days we do थोड़ा personal preference के हिसाब से. Because
Yeah.
Again, remember
I
the
don't
principle of
consider-
chanting is important.
Yeah, I mean, I don't consider that as an impure state.
Right.
It's just a natural process, but I want to
Right.
follow the rules. So, that's why I was wondering if I should do Tulsi Mala or just use something else. So,
You can, if you don't have any other, you can use Tulsi Mala.
okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you,
Counter,
Mataji.
yeah. Mataji is saying, Namita Mataji is saying Japa counter, or like I said, Japa app is also okay. If you have inhibitions, yes.
See, with Japa counter is really good. It's Shanksa, it's like a conch shell bana hua hai, and then every time you do one beat, it just rotates one. So it's like a very it feels like that you're doing like a mala, like you're using a mala. So you get
Sure.
Mataji, about the Tulsi like that Kanti Mala, that one we wear. I mean, although like I'm trying to follow no onion garlic at home, but outside it's not possible. Like, to go
That's
to
okay,
Gurdwara and
Mataji.
all.
Just intensify your Japa.
Okay,
Just
but then I can still wear
intensify.
the mala then, Tulsi, that around the neck, that
Yes, if you have the intention to take shelter of a spiritual master one day,
yes, Mataji. Okay,
then
because sometimes when we go out, it's not possible to avoid or garlic, onion, although I try my best, but
yes, Mataji, there are those contaminations in the world that we are unavoidable, inevitable. So that's why we chant. Chanting for love of God, but also chanting us to get us out of this material world where there are so many impediments which are unavoidable.
okay. Oh, thank you, Mataji.
So thank you, Mataji, for clarifying that, because even if you take a bath in the morning, there are so many involuntary things that happen inside the body. So how do you stop that, right? So
right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the same page previously, but I just wanted to share that.
Yes. So I think for current situation, Prabhupada has given us even in India, it is still followed that women are not doing deity worship on the altar. But in US, actually, in every single temple I go, women are doing the deity worship at the altar. So Prabhupada gave altar service to female disciples a lot. He actually trained them in the deity worship. So he trained them very nicely in deity worship. So then there are, if you all want to do some courses, there are courses for deity worship that you can do. Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Nirmala Mataji, also for joining. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll stop the call. Next time we'll start verse 3. Please read before if you are able to. That way we can have more fruitful discussion. Hare Krishna. Vancha kaltarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitana pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Gaur Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishna Krishna Bhaktaya
Krishna Bhaktaya
Tadbhaktaya
Tadbhaktaya
Namah.
namo namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother. Wonderful class.